Hello, we're live. I'm back. I think. Oh, okay. Supposedly we're excellent quality, but I can't. Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure this out, if it's public or not. Sometimes it sets it to private, and I can't do anything. Okay, I have another chat up on my phone now. We're good, we're good. Okay. I think should be fine now. Multitasking is what I am best at, obviously, of course, definitely. This won't go horribly wrong. As I need to do... I don't even remember what we were doing last time. We talked to Emma, and now I think we're still kind of in Uber tutorial hell. I got a job, a house, you know, really the dream of anyone in the modern era. Unfortunately, we are still in France. You know, from behind, this outfit is so slick. I know I said this last time, but like, bro designed a great logo. I do like the somewhat conflicting colors, but like, I really wish it had like more of a fade or something. Because the front is just quite jarring. Oh, did it not save after me talking to her or something? Let's see. Yeah, it's a guy right here we have to talk to. Are you my client, child? Pretty jealous. You sit on a bench and hang out with them? No time for sitting around? You're not my client. Yes, headbutt the wall. Okay. Oh, I get. Okay. I do not like that. Okay, like the big mark is being shown as like on top of her because she's like the quest giver, and then it's like go do side quest at the little. You see, like right here is where the side quests are. I sound super like that. Now you get to see how terrible at directions I am, and how I don't remember any of the movement controls from last time. This one hiding. I pick up my trinkets and toys real quick. What do you want? Client! Visiting a loved one's great. Okay. You never give me a fright. Wild Pokemon rang all over Lumios in the cemetery, turning into a wild zone. Why? I would never have lost my ring if it weren't for this nonsense. At any rate, it was a Pokemon called Sableye. Awful thing. I recall it's only weak to fairy types. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's one of those intriguing ones where it's like, because it's a Ghost Dark, it's only weak to Fairy, and for a long time it didn't have a weakness. But its base stat total and move pool is just so mediocre that, like, despite it not being weak to anything, it's really not strong in the slightest.
Yeah.
You got Ghastly. How dare you? Cancel. It's better than her a little bit with the throw, yeah. Get got. Damn it. Laser him a little bit. Keep lasering in. Oh, her. Sorry, I suppose. I do just kind of like, it's one of my favorite things, just throwing the Pokeballs at them. Me and Jester have been playing Cobblemon in the background sometimes. It's like little breaks between doing work and such. And, he's mad at me. It's mean. I hate it kind of when you already push down the button, how it's like, oh, you have to throw it sometimes. There, cause it's like, I know that's just a me having fat fingers issue, but okay, bro, try. I think it's time to get it. Probably died of it, or not. Glad they didn't. You're kidding me. Yeah, okay. Get in the orb. Okay, so we had to find the ring. So I'm having fun just running around and catching Pokemon right now, but yeah, you can just yeet Pokeballs at Pokemon regardless of like where they are. In Cobblemon, which is neat. Cobblemon has a lot of like intriguing things that'd be interesting to see in like a real Pokemon game. It's one of the reasons I've been liking this game thus far is, like I said, it really feels like you're in the anime rather than playing a Pokemon game to an extent. Like, you know, you get to run around and all that. Get out of here, Snake. No, not that. Okay, whatever. Okay, might as well growl while we're waiting for a move. Airlays, because they don't have an item to be strong. Gonna need to heal this critter because it's all poisoned and such. Satchel. But yeah, like I said, I've really liked this game thus far because of the, that. It's also, oh, my one guy can evolve, apparently. How intriguing. Antidote. But yeah, like this is, it actually has quite a few similarities between this game, and Cobblemon. Cobblemon has a lot of silly things that also makes you feel like, oh yeah, It's like, I mean, it is really just Pokemon in Minecraft, which like I don't particularly love because you know I'm kind of like iffy on Minecraft. I don't have like a great deal of love in my heart for it, but it's pretty fun because it has the same appeal of like feeling like you're in the anime where like there's a lot of things that just make sense. Like that feels like something you could do. You can get on your Pokemon and fly around, which is neat. Annoying because I had to go through like 4 Pokemon to be able to fly, so I legit thought it wasn't possible for a long time. Get out of here, Ekans. Oh wait, that's not a button again, it's this one, yep. Get out of here, Ekans. I keep fat fingering Y. That's my bad, chat. But yeah, it's like, because I went for Talonflame, got it fully evolved, and it's like, actually, you can't fly on Talonflame. I'm like, oh, okay. Fully evolved to Decidueye, couldn't fly on Decidueye. Just ended up catching a Pidgeotto and trading it because we figured out you can fly on it. That creature has the luckiest amount of luck I have ever seen. They came home with like 2 Mega Stones. Legend of Zelda for the first time? Nah. I've played Legend of Zelda before. I'm not that uncultured, Dr. Frederick. As said, I haven't played any of the newer ones. I haven't really had a great deal of interest in them, to be honest, beyond, like... I don't know, I just feel like that nothing's going to beat my silly little nostalgia. I feel like it's one of those things where some of the older games, like Majora's Mask and the game with Midna in it, and God, Ocarina of Time. Like, specifically Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time are just, like, too stand out and too nostalgia-based to actually, like, ever beat, I think. Hopefully he has all ghost moves. Ooh, a crit. Can I throw balls at him? I can! Whoops. I'm so glad the ball guy exists here. Yeah, I kind of feel that way. It's like, the building mechanic is so... I do actually like the whole tech angle, and I do like some of the lore they're doing. But, like, I can get the same level of enjoyment watching, like, Ken play, or watching someone explain a lore video than actually fully purchasing the game. The price point is also a bit rough. Like, I know that's a problem with Nintendo in general, but it's like, I just can't justify that amount of money for it when, like I said, I can watch someone else play it and get that enjoyment. I don't really, like, dislike them, like, you know, but I agree with what you're saying. It's like, it's for a new generation of people to enjoy, and I'm more than happy to just leave that to people who like it. Not really my thing. Don't hate it, don't like it, they're pretty neutral about it, like some things, you know. We didn't think a wild Pokemon were such a good taste in jewelry. But now that I have it back, I won't let go of this ring again anytime soon. It's the wedding ring my wonderful husband gave me, after all. Thank you, dear, truly, and please take this for your troubles. Money and 2 revives. On my grave after I pass. Who knows, maybe a Sableye will make off with it again. If so, I hope it brings the Sableye some happiness. It's the least I could do to reward its good taste, whether it's a wild Pokemon or not. Okay, that's a bit dark, but sure, man. You know, I do kind of respect, though, when people are, like, not, horribly put off by inevitability. You know, I think I've said it before, but I actually wanted to be a mortician, for a long period of time. I was actually in an apprenticeship to become a mortician when, all the health shenaniganry that ended up, you know, for lack of a better term, crippling me, but, like, that's kind of an unfair thing to say. I don't know, it's a weird thing, but regardless, I was in a apprenticeship to become a mortician, you know. The big problem was the schooling in the state that I live, doxing myself a little bit, but that's okay. It requires a bachelor's in comparison to where the majority of the country, it only actually takes a associate's degree, and in some places it only even takes a license to be a mortician, so I was kind of debating on, like, the worthwhileness of it all. So I went with a family friend actually owns a funeral home, so I was, like, going into an apprenticeship with them to, like, learn the basics and things of that nature and, like, get a feel for everything. A little bit of lore. But yeah, no, I have a sort of respect for, especially people who have, like, intriguing ideas and actually go through with it. Like, you know, a lot of people will say things like, oh yeah, there's that whole program that, rather than burying you, they will, like, plant a tree, like, it's like a tree growing kit. So you'll, like, turn into a tree after you pass. And, like, I kind of respect people who actually put the thought into how they want to handle those sorts of affairs. And have, like, actually interesting ideas. I follow a couple more days. It's rough work, but strictly speaking, one though. Yeah, that is very true. It is, yeah, the hours are horrible. Because the unfortunate thing is, it's one of those things. Admittedly, I was used to it back then because I did used to be a bail bonds officer. And so, like, you know, I was kind of used to always being on call. But, like, being a mortician, you kind of have to always be on call, a lot of the times. You also, like, it's one of those things where you can't ever put anything off. If something needs done, it needs done in a timely fashion due to the nature of the work. And also, it does pay decently. I mean, like you said, it's something that always needs done. You know, like, it'll never go out of business, generally. And there's a lot of interesting things you can do with it, you know, like, there's green bears, like I was saying, like, if you're one of the people who offer the services for, like, those tree growing kits, or those coral growing kits, or other varying alternative means of burial, obviously you have to go through proper channels for that. But, you know, especially with, green burials and things of that nature, you really, can't leave that off. You also need to do a little bit of everything. Excuse me, because you need to be a little bit of a, like, makeup artist, you need to be a little bit of a barber. You know, just enough to get by, but, a little bit of medical professional, because there's the actual nature of preparing the body. You have to, fancy up the face of things. Oh yeah, I was a bail bonds officer. I mean, that's the more common one. The mortician thing was the rare lore for you, but yeah, ever since I was just getting out of school, I was a bounty hunter for a while. Oh yeah, touch with chemistry as well. You need to handle the embalming fluid. You need to handle, like I said, because you'd be surprised a lot of the time. People who don't know what all goes into preparing a body for burial. It's quite a lot. Oh god, my sense of direction is so bad. But yeah, before I moved out to California, I was a bail bonds officer for a handful of years, having just got out of school. It was really a passion of mine. It's just one of those things of, like, I would probably still be doing it if my health had held up. One of the reasons I do have so many different, like, jobs I looked into and things of that nature is because as much as I had a passion for bail bonds, it was not feasible to kids. Like, it's a very physically demanding work, and it's very physically demanding work. And even before, like, the bad stuff happened, with my health, it was like, it was just difficult to keep up with it all. You know, sometimes you have to chase people. And, sometimes you have to tackle people. And, you know, while that's not common, I will say a lot of people will give you a false, like a false narrative about it and be like, oh yeah, it's crazy. You're doing all these crazy things for all this thing. Most of the time, it's you go someplace and go, hey dude, you missed your court date. And they're like, oh, shit, man. And then you're like, don't worry, though. I already talked with the boss. We can get you a new... we can get you down to the jail. Because, like, you have to, because you kind of have to go back. Like, you have to go through booking and processing. But depending on the day of the week you do booking and processing, you can literally get someone down, check them in, and be out in an hour. So it's like a minor inconvenience to you and a minor inconvenience to them. And a lot of people understand that, and if they're, like, you know, set on the process, right, of going through everything, it's really not a big deal. And so, like, a lot of the times, even being a bail bonds officer, it's just a lot of talking and being diplomatic and running people places. But sometimes it is crazy. Sometimes you do have to chase a guy across the field. Yeah, exactly. That's one of those things, unfortunately. Yeah, no, it's exactly that. Like, I have, like, maybe 2 crazy stories from my time as being a bail bonds officer. Like, the thing is, like, 90% of cases are legitimately run someone somewhere and, you know, like, run someone down to, like, the local jail or whatnot, do some paperwork, get them back out, or, like, run someone down to wherever your bail company's located, run them down to talk to your boss. It's really being a chaperone half the time, and just checking in with people to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because, like, sometimes, you know, you do have to... I mean, like, there's, like, the crazy stuff, obviously, where someone does something stupid, and you have to, like, actually arrest them, air quotes, and it's, like, that can be rough. But then there's also, like, the, sometimes you have to just check in on people. You had to fight someone with a samurai sword. He was bailed over a traffic violation. Yeah, shit like that happens. It's always not what you'd expect. You know, like, you can legitimately, oh god, the one crazy experience I personally had was, I was with the, like, my mentor figure. Like, I was being trained to replace him. Because how the bail company I worked out of is, worked was there was, like, one person per 2.5 counties. You know? Oh, trade, using, okay. But I like my Pichu, bro. Whatever, you can have it, I suppose. Oh, wait, is it... Am I getting, do they want the... Oh, but yeah, no, there's, the one crazy experience I had... Sorry, I was getting off track by the, Pokemon. Was, it was a woman who had a very basic, like... It was like a traffic violation, and like it was a handful of other minor stupid stuff that you really don't think would be a problem. And you know, she was very adamant on getting out of jail for the fact that she was pregnant at the time, and so you can tell by that it was already gonna be crazy. But I was with my mentor figure, right? The guy I was training to replace, who, like I said, the bail company I worked for, they would have it be like, they would have a handful of bail bond agents, and they would generally be like one person per 2.5 counties. So there'd be like some overlap on bigger counties where we would regularly get, like more... where we would regularly get, like, more, cases, there would be, like, 2 people there to handle it. And then if someone needed something, obviously, you know, we would... the electricity, it got me. I'm terrible at multitasking. But... you know, you'd have someone who's able to back up in, like, severe cases, or if someone can't get around to it. And it's pretty much you're just always on call, you know? One of the nice things about the job was that you never actually had set hours a lot of the time. It'd be, you were called as needed, and the commission rate was very good, actually. Because you would handle doing the bail. You would also handle, like, bail jump. You'd handle, essentially, like, pretty much everything through the company. So I was being trained to replace, like, my mentor figure, right? And we went on call together for what we both expected was going to be simplistic. You know, this woman has, a freshly born kid, missed her court date. You know, and we were expecting it to be something very simple, where it's like, okay, yeah, you know, it's reasonable that they missed the court date because of them having a kid. Pretty expected. And what actually happened was probably one of the craziest, experiences I ever had. Because... sorry, I had to laugh a little bit. I need the Pikachu. It was crazy, though, because, this woman was, like, the least compliant the judge and court clerk to be sympathetic. Well, yeah, but it's, like, it's very, a standard, apprenticeship process makes it, yeah, and so you'd think that, too. But, like, also, a court day say you have to go there, and, like, it's just how it works, where you have to kind of go there, and, like, if you don't keep correspondence with the court and you're on bail, you know, that's rough. You can't be doing that. I will capture you, my little... okay, but yeah, so you know, a lot of the times they are as sympathetic as they're allowed to be, but like there's only so much you can do at a certain point. And in this woman's case, she was one of the, like, most combative, non-compliant I have ever seen. So, I'm sitting in the car, because, like, my partner in this case was like, I'm sure it's gonna be a non-issue. I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna talk, whatever. And he's like, you know, since there's a kid here, you know, we might have to, like, wait around. I got you. Why is the Pokemon not coming out? Pokemon. How does the, what's it called? Always hit, the Thunder Shock. Why me? There's a Pokemon out on the ground. Why is it so hard to catch Pikachu, of all things? This is very comedic. Telling this story while being attacked from all angles by 12 Pikachu, bro. I can't even tell if I got one. But yeah, no. So he goes up. He's like, you know, we might have to be here for a bit because we might have to have someone watch, and it depends on what she wants to do. And so we're trying to be understanding, whatever. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem. And so I'm waiting. And it was crazy. She, like, used her freshly born child as a human shield. Because she, like, attempted to slam the door in my partner's face. So she was, like, she was actively fighting with the kid in her arms. Actively fighting, screaming, not at all what you'd expect under that. And it was madness. No, yeah, she was using it because there's not a lot you could do in this situation because she has like a toddler in her arms and she's trying to slam the door on like me and my partner. Like I go up trying to help, you know, when we're talking, we're like, you know, it's really not a big deal. We can, like, you know, we just have to go down and do some paperwork. This isn't a big deal, you know. We're trying to be reassuring. We're trying to build a rapport. She was playing the UNA kid, but with a baby. Yeah, no, she was actively shoving like the baby into the doorway, like like between us and her, trying to slam the door. The only reason she didn't get the initial door like slammed was because my partner put his foot in like the door before she slammed it. And, like, you know, we're trying to talk. We're trying to talk her through this. We're trying to be like, listen, you know, we understand why you might be, like, why you'd be concerned. It's perfectly reasonable to be concerned. But, like, this is not a big deal at all. You know, work with us, we'll work with you. You literally just have to do some paperwork. Won't even take an hour. You know, we can take the kid, like, with us. You can drop them off. You know, if they need food, if they need whatever beforehand, you know, we can get anything you possibly could need squared away. And, you know, we're trying our best. We're legit trying to, yeah, good to know how she felt about her kid. I know, it's crazy. And so, like, it got to a point where she was so combative, right? Like, we were legit, and so the thing with being bail bonds is you're not a police officer. In some ways, you're better, because you're technically a part of federal law, but also, you're hired by a company and using a modified form of life insurance. So, like, you're not office, like, you can perform certain tasks, and the contract gives you a certain level of, like, power. It'd be very hard to go over everything that they teach you when you're being trained for bail bonds, but like there's a lot of laws that you have to have memorized verbatim. It's a very intensive job, both mentally and physically. But like, we tried to keep control of this. It was so fucking bad. Like, and we were so like one of the things is you legitimately have to, one thing you have to do is you have to always remember the force triangle. In any form of law enforcement you could possibly do, you have to remember, like, what's okay and where you should be. And so, you know, there's the level where, like, the bottom of the force triangle is where you're allowed to slightly raise your voice, but, like, you shouldn't do anything more because you don't want to escalate. You need to know where it's escalated to and how to handle the situation. And so we're doing our best. We're not even raising our voices. We're like, hey, and it got to a point where she's so combative. She's like swinging on us. She's trying to slam a door in our face. She's like half peeking out and like full on swinging to kick down a door. But only the patient's door. Beyond that, I understand. Yeah, no, it's very tightly controlled. You have a lot of power over specific, like, fields. And like I said, there are numerous court cases that say, like, yeah, you have the right to do this, this, and this. So, like, we were well within our right to have the door, like, held open, but, like, we don't want to escalate it further than that. And so it's, like, it's rough, though. But, like, it was, because, also, another thing of interest is we have to fill out so much paperwork if we tase someone. This is going to become important to the story here in a second. But, one thing that we, like, if you are to deploy a taser, one, you know, a police officer has a great deal of leeway in this regard, where they can, if they feel this is necessary, they can do it. In our case, we are allowed to have the tasers and we are allowed to use them. But there's a lot more ands, ifs, or buts. We have to fill out, like, unironically, the company I work for, you have to fill out 5 pages of paperwork if you even deploy a taser. And that's with a tap taser. If you actually use prongs, it sucks ass because that comes out of your commission. You like, and that's $50. For a set of taser prongs, for a, like, standard issue taser, it's $50 US to replace that. And we're legitimately discussing, because it got to a point where we tried desperately for 10 minutes. We're getting tired because this is a massive amount of effort, and we're also, like, really concerned for the child's safety. Because at this point, she's clearly, like, she's not going to cooperate. She's actively swinging on us. She's actively, like, putting everything possibly that she can between us and this. And, like, she has no regard for the child's safety. And so, like, it's a very strenuous situation. And we're legitimately considering, like, should we use taser? Should we tap tase? Should we attempt to prong? How are we gonna get the kid, and how are we gonna keep them safe? Because they're shoving them in the way of us, so we couldn't even cleanly tase if we attempted. Like, deploying taser would actually be very difficult in this situation. And so, like, we're strongly considering it, though. We're trying to figure out what to do here. It's just just an awful situation to be in, honestly. The city in the shadow. Side quest. Mark that. So I'm slightly better at it. Okay. But, like, it's this very tenuous situation. Inevitably, we managed to get control of the situation. My partner managed to swoop the baby from the mother with his whole thigh in the, like, door. Luckily, neither of us got hurt. You know, it was a close situation, I ain't even gonna lie. But, like, he managed to put a lot of his force into, like, keeping the door open. Managed to grab the kid. Like, swoop them up. And then we managed to cuff her. you know, like we managed to get like cuffs on her and escort her to the car, and she was still non-compliant. Like at this point, we're making sure the kid's okay. My partner's making sure the kid's okay. I'm trying to get any information. I'm like, listen, I know this seems like a bad situation. But look, we can, if you help us out, we can vouch for you. And, like, I'm trying everything I can do, everything within my, like, legal right and everything to like get this situation under control. And mainly what we're trying to do at this point, first and foremost, is get someone to watch the kid. Cause like, what are we gonna do? We have other jobs. And so there's this kid, the kid's upset, you know, as one would expect. But yeah, the kid's upset as one would expect. The mother is refusing to talk whatsoever. She's not being helpful. She's not giving us any information. Because we're like trying to be like, hey man, who's someone we can leave the kid with? You know, who, you know, like, at this point, you know, it's clear she's not really going to, be helpful at a certain point. Like, she's going out of her way to be combative at every step of the word, at every step of it, and in every sense of the word. Misspoke there a little bit. But she's like not telling anyone, like anything. And so it's just this, it's this horrible situation to be in. We're sitting in the driveway for like an hour. We're both getting nervous because you don't want to be sitting inside someone's driveway for an hour. That's a real bad look. They're running out of honey to catch the fly with. Exactly. And so, like, at this point, we're legitimately worried. Like, she's just going to jail at this point. Because, like, once you, like, it's a shitty situation. But, like, bail is a kind of a good system, in my opinion. Of course, someone who used it to work and it's gonna say that. But, like, a lot of people give it a bad rep when I think it does help a lot of people. Because it lets you get out of jail for, like, small things for a couple $100s in comparison to thousands of dollars. And so, like, it helps if people who are actually committed to the system and are committed to doing better are generally, like, rewarded for such a thing. And it's like, it's helpful to a lot of people. But, you know, yeah, bad situations too. And like at this point, it's one of those things where it's like you're actively becoming a risk to people, right? Like if you're acting like this and you know, like how she was, and there's only so much sympathy because you're putting thousands of someone else's dollars on the line. When you, because when you skip bail, and one of the reasons that's a good system is, if you just get out for free because the court says sure, why not? What bail essentially is it's what the state is determining, how much difficulty it would be to return you to prison if you do something you're not supposed to do. You know, if you're not committed to actually, like, the system and everything like that. And so, if you were to try to escape the country or flee the state or anything like that, how much effort it would take to bring you back. And so if a judge just lets you out for free, that money is then out of taxpayers' pockets. You know, that's, you're the, like, the people who are doing their jobs are the ones, taxes are paying for that. Whereas, you are supposed to get back from the court, and that's if you do it yourself, though. How bail company works is, they'll charge you generally 7% of what your actual bond is, like your bail, to get out. So they'll pay for you to get out. So the bail bondsman is personally putting up the thousands of dollars. If it's $10,000 for you to get out of jail, not a lot of people have $10,000 on their hand. And so you're essentially putting it up as collateral, right? And so the collateral's put up, and like they're gonna charge you 7%. You know, you give the bail bondsman $700 and you're out of jail, and they put $10,000 up for you to the court. After you go to trial, you give them the badge to make you show up in court. Exactly, because the thing is, like I said, to you it's $700. You give the bail bondsman $700. They put that in a little bank account, and then they put $10,000 of their own money up to the court. And the court is, if you go to trial and everything goes smoothly, they get their $10,000 back, so they gain like that 7% interest, whereas you didn't have to put $10,000 into, because like I said, no one has $10,000 lying around, generally speaking. So that's like why it's a decent system. But no, you're correct. That's why you call it a bond. It's essentially a loan and everything. But, you know, you could do it yourself. There's a lot of situations, and in some states they do the whole thing I was talking about where they let you out for free. They essentially give you a free bond from the court order. But like I said, if you attempt to flee the state or like attempt to evade everything, that comes out tax based. And then that's also why there's collateral sometimes. Like people will be like, I put my car up to get outside of jail. If the person goes to court, it's fine. If they don't, it gets repossessed. It's a very in-depth system to explain, but that's the general gist of it. But no, like, we're legitimately concerned at this point, because, like, this woman, like, once the bail bondsman, once, like, our boss sees how she's, like, handling everything, we're, like, not really sure what's going down. You know, we're not sure, because it's also, I should mention, as well, this whole thing was happening on, oh god, I think it was a Friday, I think. But this is some random Friday night all this is happening. And it's also worth mentioning, if you get, like, sometimes people don't work. A few states have $0 bonds, they're still sending cops after you, but they tend to also be really big cities that can't afford to pursue every skipped case. Yeah, exactly. That's one of the big issues that I realistically foresee. Much more than likely when there's no money on the line. Not being political, but it's a system that's developed over... Exactly. Yeah, like, because this is more of a my experience thing than actually talking about, like, the politics of it. Because, I'll be real, I ain't paid, nor was I ever paid, to discuss the politics of how the system works. But I was very well educated on how the system works, because it's how my job was. Marie. But yeah, no, I do think it is a system which is better than it is bad in a lot of situations. Like, it has a lot of ups. Okay, so we're doing this, and then after this we send him out to get replaced with Tepe. But, you know, like I said, but no, so like we're worried too at this point, because like there's a real possibility if we don't get in, because we've been here for an hour, right? And so, like, if we don't get into a, like, we don't get them actually booked and processed, they're not getting back out of jail. Because if no one's working, how are we gonna do that? And it's not like, listen, like, in theory, you could call someone up and say, hey, can you stay extra? But, like, that's not how the world always works. Like, it's not, it's like that we've been as sympathetic as we can. We've run out of honey to trap the fly with. And it's quite rough. Like I said, it's at a point where it's just like, they go off. Interesting. But, yeah, no, it's a rough situation to be in. Because, you know, if we don't get there soon enough, no one will be working, and she's going to sit there overnight. And, you know, depending on what the work schedule looks like, it turns from overnight to all weekend. Because it really depends. Like I said, if no one's working, there's not much you can do. And so we're trying to get her to say anyone. And we've been there. We probably sit there for another hour. Like I said, we've been here for like 2 hours at this point. And finally, something happens. A break in the case happens. A car pulls in the driveway, and for a brief second, we're holding our breaths, because, you know, there's all sorts of things that could be happening. A neighbor could have called someone. This could be terrible. This could be good. You know, you never know. So we hold our breath. My partner goes up to see what's going on. And it turns out it's her mom. That doesn't give me any peace of mind, because, you know, it's a situation where you're kind of arresting this lady, and so, like, you don't know if that's gonna be a good thing or a bad thing. It's probably gonna be bad. Not many people are going to treat you kindly for arresting their child, but she takes the baby, and she starts just screaming and cursing at her daughter, like, why are you doing this? Are you bleep, bleep, bleep? And she's the last kid you raised. Yeah. But she starts screaming at the lady we have in the back of the car at this point. It's like, what are you thinking? And she starts, like, chewing her daughter's ear off. And, like, honestly, crazy awkward situation. Crazy awkward situation to be sitting there listening to all that. But it did resolve it. You know, we managed to get the lady to the jail. Everything went smoothly. From there, I forgot it doesn't actually break the rock. Everything went smoothly from there. The mother was able to, or not the mother of the child who was, like, being used as a shield, but, like, the grandmother to that child was able to watch her, you know, grandchild. So everything was fine. It was a happy ending. You know, the kid had someone to watch and was unharmed. We were unharmed. The lady was unfortunately stuck in jail. I ain't gonna lie, but, you know, I don't know if that was forever, though. Because, like I said, it kind of left my hands at that point. I know she was kind of stuck there, like, overnight, but, like I said, the kid had someone to watch them overnight, and was safe, so, like, honestly, I can't complain too much. But, like, that's one of, like, the only 2 crazy stories I have from my time in bail bonds. Almost every other case was, as I said, a very simple situation of, hey, man, you forgot. Ah, sorry, man. I did it again. You know, it's a very simple thing like that. Or, you know, once the explanation was, the bigger problem you honest to God will find, and I'm sure anyone who's done the job for long enough would tell you the same thing. There might be given the choice between the admin desk and the emergency line, and they're keeping lines open. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you know, especially because it is a small town. Like, this happened in, like, pretty rural. Like, there was 3 houses on that street, on that side of the street anyways. But yeah, no, it's like, the above might be the French. I think it might be the French or Russian. I don't know. Like I said, I know the thing for America quite well. I don't know how it is outside of it. I know that bail bonds, as in the actual, like, bounty hunting aspect, is, like, kind of only America does it in the way that it's called that still. You know, a lot of other countries have a similar system, but, like, it's called something different, or it's under a different set of laws. But yeah, that sounds right. That seems correct to my knowledge. But, yeah, most of it was, just talking to people. The one thing you kind of have to do, like I said, the hard part a lot of the time is getting a hold of people. Because, you know, no one wants to talk to you. That is also true, yeah. But, yeah, the biggest problem you have, Alana, I'm sure anyone who's done the job for, like, more than a couple months would probably tell you the same thing. What you have a problem with 9 times out of 10 is, you know, whenever you have a problem, not, like, 8 out of 10 times, you won't have a problem at all. And then, 9 out of 10 of the times you do have a problem, it's getting a hold of someone. They're trying to duck you. You know, they don't want to talk. They're not trying to flee. Like, you know, they're not trying to do anything crazy like flee the country. They're not trying to do anything crazy like flee the state. They don't want to talk to you. Because, you know, they're worried you're going to take them to jail, or they're worried that, like, yeah, you're going to repossess them, or, like, anything like that. You know, this is... Wait. Oh, I'm a silly sausage. That's unfortunate. I ran all the way here for nothing. Alright, let's put that there. So I know where to go. But, yeah, a lot of times it's them trying to duck you. Like, they're just doing their job, and, like, it's a thing where you have to track them down. That's something I was incredibly proficient at. You know, a lot of that amounts to legal... Like, you have to track them. That's the biggest thing you find. Where you have to, like, you know, look at their social media and be like, oh, here, like, to call into their workplace and be like, hey, can I get the work schedule? And depending on if they're unionized or not, that can be a pain sometimes. You know, it can be rough. Like, a lot of the times it's just talking to people and then finding people in an attempt to talk to people. Like, so the biggest problem you're going to have is trying to find them. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be you have to drive to their work or talk to their boss and get a work schedule to know where they are and when they'll be there, so you don't interrupt their work schedule, but you can still get them, so you have to figure out when they're getting off work, and but it's a whole thing. Size of the country as well. It sounds like the first half of fun, or occasionally ending in a game of social circus Russian. That's really it, man. And like I said, a lot of the times that is it. You have to, like, there's also, I kind of feel bad about this one, but, like, one of the things you have to do sometimes, unironically, is you have to, like, you have to fib a bit. Where you're like, you have to be like, hey, we need to, we can do XYZ, and you have to exaggerate it in importance, and also exaggerate how easy it is, so they'll actually willingly come meet with you, so you can discuss it, because otherwise they're just gonna duck you. You have to do, like, stuff like that a lot of the time. Which, like I said, that can be rough too. But a lot of it is really just talking to people, and you do kind of get a major sensation, or like, that you're actually helping people and doing the right thing at the end, so, like, it's not terrible. Ooh, let's go, yeah. Battle zone. The real last people fight a bondsman because they'll either already had their plea deal worked out or they'll be out of the country before you find them. Just kidding, you're saying. Yeah, no, that one, that one is actually true. Both those things are very true. You can, ask anyone who's done the job for a long time. There's I hate how they get a free move when they do them. When you walk up to that. I forgot about that mechanic. But, yeah, and a lot of the times it is, you know, old-fashioned criminals is how a lot of people would refer to it as. Like, the old blood, so to speak, you know, that sounds really stereotypical. But a lot of the times, they're not the ones who are going to mistreat you. They're not the ones who are going to, like, pull a gun on you or anything crazy, because they already understand the process. To them, it's business. You know, it's one of those situations where it's not the end of the world. You know, they already have their plan set up. Where they are, you know, them getting out of jail like this is, they have the money. You're probably never even going to need to talk to them. They're the type of people who you're going to need to maybe check up on once or twice, but they're going to do everything by the book. It's going to be, they're going to go to court. They're going to get everything dealt with. It's a lot of the times, like, what you would kind of expect, where it's, you know, you are dealing with people who are, you know, newer to it, I guess. Or you're dealing with the people who are the new kind of drug dealer sort that you see on a lot of the street corners and things like that. Those are people you kind of have to watch out for, because the culture changed majorly at a certain point. And it, you know, they might be showing my age just a little bit, but, like, you know, that's the sort of thing you gotta watch out for a lot of these times, because they're the type of people who, like, it's not business to them anymore, you know, it's a whole thing. And, like, you gotta be careful, because it can be dangerous. There's a lot of situations, you know, like, when I was training to be a bail bonds officer, you hear a lot of situations of some 18-year-old, because you can do it just out of school. Like, I was doing it just out of school. Like, I just got out of high school. And, you know, you have a lot of situations where you feel like you're on top of the world. And, you know, a lot of people do it as, like, a sort of power trip, or they try to. And, you know, you hear stories where, like, yeah, no, this 19-year-old tried to do it, and he got shot. You know, he was moseying around and acting all tough, and, like, and it's just this whole thing where, like I said, and you end up having that, and, like, they obviously don't keep doing the job after that. It's a job that a lot of people can start, but, like, you have to have the intelligence for when... You have to have a lot of situational intelligence and social intelligence to keep doing it. And it's a situation with, like I said, it's why I stopped doing it, because while I had a great deal of passion for it, it is also a thing where, like, I knew my health would not keep up for it. I knew I could not continue to do it, and so I stopped doing it while I was ahead. These bushes block attacks, and that's incredibly angering. But like I said, you have to have a lot of both real intelligence and social intelligence, and be aware of your situation. You know, it's something you never really forget after a certain point of, like, being taught, yeah, no, when you open a door, make sure you stand behind it, because it's, in worst case scenario, it's covered, you know. And like I said, a lot of the situations, I said, it's someone who doesn't know what they're doing. They'll stand downwind, they're doing all these sorts of things, of just, like, small details you can miss if you're not on top of your game. Satchel. You know, even some of the people I trained with, it's kind of crazy to think, you know. Their situations are like, yeah, no, they got, like, none of them died. I'll say that. Like, no one, like, died. It's pretty rare to see that, honestly, but, like, you know, a lot of people, they do get, you know, shot at, or they get, you know, a knife or a gun pulled on them, and they don't know what to do, and it's a scary situation a lot of times. Oh, your head is a smart move. Yeah, you know, like I said, it's one of those things you really gotta know. You know, generations of gangs. Yeah. You know, like I said, the culture changed. It really did. And that sort of... It feels weird to call it like a field, I guess. But like anything law enforcement related, it changed with the generations, you know? Like, and I'm sure anyone could tell you that. Like, the police force are different, the bail bonds are different, I'm behind this bush, you don't see me. Ineffective move, but sneak attack. You know, criminals changed, law enforcement changed, everything kind of changed. I mean, that's the nature of, I guess, living, is that things do change, you know? I'm not gonna get political about it, but like I said, just a lot of the culture overarchingly, has changed. You know, even outside of law enforcement. Was run by the old. Because, no, there was no blade of grass uplets. Yeah. Not a problem. Yeah, I see that a lot, and like what I did, honestly. Alright, so a lot of it is, to someone, it's just, like, to the old kind of generation, it's like a job, and, you know, if they can't get back out and keep doing their job if they shoot you, or if they make an enemy of bail bonds, or if they make an enemy of the cops, you know, like, it's a whole thing where it's, you know, where they're careful with it. There's a lot of the things of, like, they have pride in what they do a lot of the time. But like I said, a lot of it still, because, like, at the end of the day, in a lot of situations, crime is either about mistakes, you know, making an honest mistake, or maybe a less than honest mistake, or it's for money. Like that's, you know, let's not mince the words there, that's just kind of the culture around it. It's either, you know, it's either legitimately, yeah, mistakes, or it's, yeah, either mistakes or it's for the money. And, you know, that's really kind of what it is at the end of the day. Sneaking. Make him slower, please, and thank you. Undershot, quick attack, swap out, higher base stats, but same thing. then it was absolutely necessary. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, it's kind of a crazy situation when you really think about it. That, like, it's, yeah, exactly what you're saying. The office workers, same. These are silly, they're silly guys. But, yeah, no, it's as you're saying, you know. It's not necessarily that they're nicer, but it's they view it completely differently. It's not, like I said, it's not like it's like they would never ever, because you see things like that even in like the olden days with like, I'm sure, you know, a lot of people in any law enforcement would tell you, like, you know, it's not necessarily better because you're dealing with like an older blood of an organized crime or whatever. It's just like I said, the culture just changes over time. Because at a certain rate, it's about, like I said, it's either you're making mistakes or you know exactly what you're doing, and if you, it's just like after it gets to a certain point of disruption, you can't take it back anymore. You know, like it's at a certain point, you see how bad it can get, and like you can't back out of it. Is the real situation that that they're at. And so the older generation is like generally, it's not like they're nicer, it's just that like they are aware of that boundary, and they are aware it makes it more difficult to get money if they're past that boundary. It's bad for business, and so they, you know, so they don't try to cross that line unless it's absolutely necessary. Whereas, like, you know, a lot of times you don't have, you know, it's not nothing's absolute too. That's an important thing to remember. Well, that is my general experience. Yeah. You know, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, Al Capone's big Torrid Day force, when he took out all of the other mob bosses. That was 7 people. Yeah, exactly. This got pulled out because of a basic Ekans and still stands with a confidence of it. He is the team leader, man. But, yeah. You hear a lot about that, if you actually look into Power Up Punch. I guess that's probably not as powerful as I think it is in this game, because stat buffs seem to be temporary. How do I do the, God. Not that. Okay, not that. I keep forgetting the things. Evolve. The concept of heat, like you were saying, where accumulate is actually the point for the nuance. Exactly, because like I said, at a certain point, and then there's also like I gotta speak a great deal to it, because like you know, I don't feel like I'm the best person to speak to a great deal of it to some extent, but it's like you said, or like I said, the culture changed, and like you said, in the old days, it's if you have too much heat, like that's bad. That shows you're not as good as your job, and makes it difficult to do what many of them consider to simply be work. Whereas, you know, in the modern era, it's kind of this thing of like, you know, fuck everyone, and the more heat you have, the more like lucrative it is, you know, the more like it's like a showing of, yeah, I've done more, and like, yeah, like that's the you know, one's better for business in the modern era, whereas like back in the day, that's not, excuse me, how you'd want to be handling yourself. It's just like how in a more like upbeat thing, in a more upbeat topic of conversation rather than crime and organized crime is you know, it's just like how the culture has changed modernly, where things that used to be like super taboo, like people would look at you, not even conservative people, just like people in general would look at you. How do I get back there? I think I might be a little silly, chat. How do I get back there? That's an alpha bell sprout. I don't want to deal with that. You know what? We're just walking up. Let's look at the building. Let's case the joint. But it's just like a lot of the things, you know. Modernly, a lot more is accepted. Not to get political or anything, but you know, a lot of things are just normal. You don't bat an eye at it. Whereas people would look at you crazy 20 years ago. The acceptable? Yeah, exactly. Pretty well. Back in the 80s. Yeah, you know, it's kind of crazy how well they did in a lot of ways. I mean, one could argue that it wouldn't be that hard to, like, oh, you know, like, call it out, but I do think that's not the case. I think it's rather impressive that, fiction keeps emulating reality. Oh, did I have to beat the Pokemon? Ooh, that's, I feel a little silly. I think the Pokemon had the revival twigs. But, yeah, you know, it's, one of those situations where, I think fiction emulates reality quite well. In a lot of ways. Which is kind of crazy to think about, how many things have been predicted. You know, The Simpsons, going wild quickly, making the internet unusable. Also, here with that prediction. Yeah, I mean, that's, I guess that's crazy how much, fiction can guess randomly. Doctor Who guessing random shit. That's one of my favorites. The Simpsons guessing shits. Cyberpunk. And like I said, you could argue, oh, you know, it's not that hard to predict the future. If you are socially aware, it's easy to see what happens. But I think that it's always pretty impressive when it happens. You know, also a broken clock is right twice a day. So, that's always the case, but like I said, I do think it's intriguing to see when it happens, for sure. I'll crush you nice and quick, Yvonne. True. Supposedly we are getting a Doctor Who Christmas special. They are saying though that it's the old, like it's old Who. It's the end of old, like this season-ish of Who, not the beginning of a new one. Because it's kind of the tradition of the Christmas special being the like beginning and ending point to some extent. Supposedly, anywho. Oh, okay. Well, that was a useless paralyze because I got lucky on the thunder shock again. Hit the thunder shock and then swap. Critical hit, lucky. Swap a Pokemon while they're swapping. Thunder shock. No, that's not gonna go well for me. Quick attack. Thunder. No! small thing. Yeah, I don't really know a lot, but I haven't heard a super huge amount, but like I said, supposedly there's one, because there's always the thing where, like, they lost a lot of funding. The whole Doctor, they switch out, because they kind of went through this one pretty quickly. For better or worse, I actually don't think, like, a lot of people did not like the, 15th. I didn't mind it. I think the actor was very talented, and I do like his role, but I really do think they didn't give him any good stories. Because I will say, I do think the 15th Doctor is one of the weakest, but I don't think it's because of the actor. I think the actor played a very good role, but I think, like the actor himself said, there wasn't a Dalek story. How can you have a Doctor without, like, a single reference to a Dalek? You know? And I think they just gave him a bunch of garbage stories. You know, especially the whole Omega retcon. Like, I guess it's not really a retcon because it's like, oh, Omega got corrupted. You know, I guess it's not really a retcon, but like, I don't know, I just don't like it. Like I said, I think they really failed the actor in this case, like the BBC. You know, a lot of New Who grew on. Because a lot of New Who is you have one of the best iterations of the Doctor into a they tried new things sort of deal. Yeah, that's true. Capaldi had great actor. Truly in love with the series. But they didn't get like I said, but yeah, there's a lot of misses. I think there was a lot of hits, and a lot of it grew on me over time. A lot of New Who, like I said, grew on me, because you have a lot of, this is one of the best episodes and best storylines, then like 5 misses in a row. Then, oh, this is a great episode. You know, and that's how a lot of New Who works. And then it's like they try new stuff. 13 grew on me too. You know, like over time. Because like I said, it really puts the Master into perspective. And I think what you really have to do to enjoy the 13th Doctor and her run was pretend like she's not the main character. And pretend like it's the Master's the main character and the Master's lying. That he's saying things that he knows will get to the Doctor the whole time. And when you watch it with that mindset, that you're watching the final straws of the Master, once you put that into perspective, you really have it. I think that's, like, what makes the 13th Doctor's run good. You know, that's why I liked it, because I hated it, and then I rewatched it with, like, after having rewatched 12 into, you know, some of the old Master stuff, and then 12 into 13. And you realize that, like, the continuity is, yeah, that's actually pretty good. And if you're assuming the Master's a lying sociopath, and you start to get in that mindset, it gets a lot better. Oh yeah, exactly. No, that's unfortunately true. Like, they also just locked him in a castle for a day for an episode. Which is crazy. Which actually, that episode I think is underrated. I don't think it's a hit, But I do think that it's a good episode. Because once you start taking a step back and realize they gave Capaldi a lot of free reign to tell a story about it symbolizes grief, it's a good episode. I don't think it's one of the best. Oh, we have to beat this kid up to learn his secrets. I love Ruby. I was a huge fan of Montium. R.I.P. Yeah. Oh, 3. Then the series doesn't really go anywhere. But that's a different story. No, yeah, I agree. You know, I actually was one of the people who was, like, somewhat of an apologist. It really depends on what you think happened behind the scene, because Rooster Teeth was a nightmare to begin with. They tried to make more money and have more freedom by pivoting to their own website, and they had a lot of bad business decisions. But that's neither here nor there. They also had a handful of controversies which got, like, crazy. So it really depends on who you think is right, because there are some stories from behind the scenes that say they really stepped away from Monty's vision. That, you know, there's supposed to be a fight where Raven came and fought Juniper as, like, foreshadowing. And I think with that having been said, I think that would have been really good. I think that was a, I think, like I said, that would have been really good once you go, and like you said, Season 1 and Season 2 are great once you get into, Season 3, but there's a lot of they were just testing. Yeah, that's what I've heard a lot, too. A lot of the leaks were over-exaggerated, but accurate, is what I've heard. And a lot of the people would say, essentially, you know, it's not, like, the people in Rooster Teeth would be like, it's not your business, was a lot of the answer, that I heard as well, when people were responding to the controversies. It was never, no, this is completely inaccurate. It was a lot of, oh, yeah, no, not your business. It's a lot of it from what I've heard as well, and like I said, I can't say because I was not there, obviously. And, you know, I have no real say in this, obviously. But it's a lot of, like what you said, a lot of what I heard was they were exaggerated because people were upset. They were, but they were not inaccurate. Yeah, exactly. That's a, an intriguing, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of interesting things I wish they had done more with. It's actually something I take a lot of inspiration from, Ruby, with the webcomic that me and Jester are making. We're only 2 chapters out. We got really backed up with doing a lot of other things, this past year, and Jester got bogged down with a lot of commissions, so it became kind of difficult to work on. We're hoping to drop the name, like we're in the process of trying to get the name, you know. Once we get the name, if we get the name, we're hoping to drop an epic title card and some new chapters this coming year with at least some lore tidbits, but it's a lot of what I take inspiration of. I appreciate that. I keep telling Jessica, it's on Jester's Twitter, it's on my Patreon, like, it was early release on my Patreon, then Jester would post it on Twitter. I keep telling her we should post the 2 chapters that are up, because our original plan was to post on Discord in her server, like 2 chapters behind. That way there was an incentive to go other places, to other social medias, if you wish to see it quicker. But then, like I said, we got really behind on it. I appreciate that greatly. That's a crazy pose. But yeah, I take a lot of inspiration from Ruby because, you know, like I said, I was a big fan of Monty for a very, very long time. Even back from Red versus Blue, what time is it? How long have I been live? Why did it not? I have 30 more minutes. We're good. I was making sure. I didn't want to cut a conversation early, so I was making sure I had time. But yeah, no. I really did like the setting too. Yeah. A lot of it is, I say even if it's not strictly, or like you said, it's not strictly original. I think they did a lot of things that were good with it. You know, I think that the color naming scheme is something that stuck with me for a long time. You know, everyone can name people after colors, but like I like how everyone was named after. And another thing was it had to. Monty said, you know, it has to make you think of a color, be a color pun, or be fairy tale inspired. That, you know, you had to think of the theme. I respect that naming theme, those naming conventions. There's a lot of instances in different fights, but it didn't feel like. Yeah, no, that's something I really do like that. I admit fully, a power scaling nerd. And I actually do really like, a lot of people are like, I hate when the protagonist uses the same move over and over. And I do too. You know, like Naruto got very grating for Sengon 1 through 17. But when the power system allows it, where, like, you know, Blake had clones. Like, and not like the Shadow clone. That was her only power. But it felt unique how she would use it. So they had the same weapon. And so, you know, even though it's the same, it spams the same move. It feels legit. You know, it feels like it does. You don't get that. You don't get like a bad feeling from it. Finding moves in their pockets. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I really did like where it's like they have their style, and like the power system is, you know, you can it makes it so that, yeah, you're limited in what you can do, but it still feels like it's unique. I don't know how I'd get past these, to be honest. They're like weird slime. What attack is slime weak to? I mean, ground, I guess? Shoot mud. Nope, I was wrong. Punch attack. Yeah, okay, I tried, man. I was gonna, but it killed me. Start making the main characters appear stronger and making others weaker. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I like power scaling. I'm a power scaling nerd fundamentally, but like, I like numbers and things. I have the autism. It shoots me, I guess. But, yeah, I like numbers and things like that. And so that's something I'm very conscientious of when writing, for webcomic, and, like, even for things like D&D or whatnot. I'm very conscientious of the power scaling and power ceiling to not make people seem too above what their pay grade is and things like that. It's something I try to always be conscientious about because of that. Really killed the mystique. Where even the weird over-caffeinated was actually a force to be reckoned with. Yeah. You know, I do like how they did actually kill off characters in the Fall of Beacon, but, like, I wish they had actually shown it on camera? Because, like, we just kind of got things of, yeah, did you know that, some of them died? And I'm like, oh, okay. Crazy. But, then it's also, like you said, there's just, like, 2 random goons. And, like, and that one volume. Oh, God, yeah. 2 random goons were added, and they just to be killed to show how powerful Crow and the girls were. Where, like, they're able to fight these, super duper grim on the train. But, these 2 guys who are supposedly trained huntsmen, you know, you don't even see their aura break, you just see them get murdered by, like, the Chimera Grim. Disintegrated. That's true. You know, we did get, canonically, 2 redhead deaths. Technically, we got, like, 3 redhead deaths if we consider later volumes. Because we got quite a few. They really had to make sure it stuck, you know? Yay, screw. Oh wait, do I have a Skiddo already? I thought I did. Hey. Oh, to my party. Okay. One sec. Hello, Skiddo. Yeah, we'll get it out of here. I don't care about my starter, you know, unpopular opinion. Their licenses as fake, yeah. Especially with how many huntsmen Salem and her posses were killing, you'd think that it would be a quick way to make a buck. And I think that would have been an interesting story arc. Of them being like, a lot of people are actually fake huntsmen. Because while it is incredibly dangerous, it's weird. They tend to leave the fake ones alone, and they get paid big money because of the high lethality rate. Eating a baby's soul. Yeah, you know, it's crazy. Like, it's a sick thing you did, Osmond. Giving them the power to willingly turn into a bird, but only when they want to? You sick fuck. It's like... It's a terrible curse you gave them. It's like, it's not explained either. Like, it's not like something like, oh yeah, the ability, because they have magic and they're not supposed to, the gods will literally send them to hell when they die, you know? And it's not like, oh, it's incredibly painful or something. As far as we know, it is just, you willingly can turn into a bird sometimes. That's what that power he gave them is. But no, they're like, you're sick, man. Which is really, really funny to me. Well, yeah, that's really not, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's not that bad. It's, how dare you give up something you own? Like, he owns that magic. Like, sure, I guess there is legitimately the argument that he only has so much magic, and that he probably has to eat more people's souls to get more magic. You know, I think that's a reasonable thing. You know, probably we can assume that. But also, it's like he thought he was making 2 powerful allies and gave up a limited resource to get allies, and that's just called leadership. Like, they gave him so much shit over him making a leadership decision. And, like, spoilers, but it arguably paid off, because, guess what? Raven's a maiden, so it paid off, because now she has magic and Raven powers. And so, like, you know, it really doesn't... Yeah, I don't get why they were so pissed at him for that. Like, God. I like Poison, but he doesn't have a lot of stuff on him. Sableye doesn't really evolve. I mean, I don't really know if I want a Haunter on team. I don't really want 2 Flyings, but I do want to evolve this into a Gyarados, so sure. We'll shove him in the party for now. I want this guy to evolve, but I think we will only keep 1 person in the party to evolve at a time for right now. So I'm gonna grab Heracross instead, because Heracross, we can level him up, and because he's a trade, he'll get stronger quicker. And we'll get a Gyarados, and then we'll start switching things around. Yeah, you know, it's like they bring up this thing where Crow and Raven are like, we didn't join Beacon to become hunters, we joined to learn how to kill them because we're bandits. And then, you know, it was like a big plot point, but I really feel like it wasn't touched on very strongly. It's a Badoo. It's great potential next to you. Have an app for helping Badoo to bloom. Maybe you could join our Badoo show. A Badoo show? Okay. Yeah, I know, because it's one of those things where, like, she killed them off screen and then had her one friend pretend to be the maiden. Which only half makes sense if we really think about it. Okay, one sec. I need a Badoo, apparently. I should probably train my guys, because surely level 20-ish isn't going to be enough at a certain point. But, you know, we only have so much time during the night and day. That's why I wish Raven got more screen time. Where, like, I really wish they did have the whole foreshadowing fight with Juniper. I disagree with the, like, people who say it would be unnecessary. Because I do think it's, that would be quite intriguing to have seen a, that fight. And it would have actually foreshadowed quite a lot. You know, because like you said, we saw her kill a random guy, but it's like, it's not, raided by bandits. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like, but it's also, we know that, men can't be maidens. So it's, like, odd. Because, like, you know, it really does feel like foreshadowing, like, oh yeah, maybe she was going around and, like, I don't know, maybe he could have been, like, a guard or one of Osmond's cronies. Because, like, Osmond, it was implied pretty heavily that Osmond had a lot of cronies all over the place. So it would have made sense if there's, like, let's say 3 or 4 cronies guarding them, and then it's like, oh, this guy must have been one of the protectors. But I'm not particularly impressive with it. Yeah, that's what they said. They're like, people who live outside of the kingdoms oftentimes have to defend themselves, meaning everybody had like a baseline level of combat, even if they weren't hunters, which was a cool concept. But then the only time you really saw that was in the White Fang arc. Because, you know, Yang soloed, like, what was it? 6 to 8 bandits? Yeah. I mean, the main thing did likely happen years back, too, but it's also, like, it didn't serve a lot of purpose. You know, it's like, really anything would have been better than what we got in that scene, where it's just kind of like, she just did it for fun, I guess, you know. Hated that guy, shot him. Why not? And Salem had put a bounty on Huntsman. Yeah, sure, kid. Let's fight. You're gonna be so jealous of my Kakuna? Hey, this one guy, yeah, no. This guy was just an asshole. Everyone hated him, so she got paid to stab him to death. Very sad. Electro Web is a scary move for a Kakuna to learn, I suppose. Oh, it's a move that you can stand in this game. And like you said, it would have made sense if, you know, there was an active bounty on hunters or something, but, like, there really wasn't anything. So it really just comes across as, yeah, Raven's bandits really hate, guys. An inside man. Yeah, I mean, it always kind of rang to me that her portal ability, like, maybe once she got magic, got stronger or something. Or that she was just always one step ahead of her brother. But, like, yeah, no. It got to a point where it's like Crow's semblance was just crazy. Then all the stuff that happened with Vic, too, I feel bad for the guy. Like, he really didn't deserve to get fired and shit. So it's just one of those things, as much as I loved Ruby, I couldn't look at it the same once, like, half the voice cast changed because Rooster Teeth was always behind some level of drama. You know, they were a big part of the Kick Vic thing, and it was like, ugh. I mean, some of it was, like, legitimate. Like, don't get me wrong. Some of it was of the drama from Rooster Teeth was, like, legit over the years. But, like, there's just a lot. There's, like, a critical mass, a singularity of drama caused by and perpetuated by Rooster Teeth, unfortunately. But, yeah, no, it's like, I feel bad for Crow. Like, it got to a point where they're like, yeah, his semblance is just really bad. Like, literally the whole universe despises him. Screw him in particular. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of it was Rooster Teeth and not the VAs and shit. And so it's like, it's crazy. But I wanted to do the Badoo. The Badoo. Oh, that's so far away, man. Can I teleport there? No. I'm getting that Badoo. They didn't use it. Well, I agree. Especially because it didn't really seem to affect everyone around him like he implied it would. Unless it was specifically, it also fucked him over. It really feels like his semblance was just, fuck you and you alone. Like 9 times out of 10. Because like I said, you'd never see it be like, it very rarely affected the girls at all. And then when it did, it was like, oh, Ruby got hurt all because of my semblance. And like that was really what you'd see from it. So it really did feel like, oh yeah, it's just, the universe hates Crow. Stick with the group, yeah. But he also can turn into a bird, so yeah, I feel like really they should have just done that. Where like bird flies in and stuff. Ooh, ba-doo, ba-doo. I'm 3 and 4 because we didn't see him. Yeah, exactly. I like how mysterious he was. Crow was like my favorite character. You know, I loved Ruby so much that I like told my mother and grandmother about it and got them into the show even. And it was mutually all 3 of our favorite characters was Crow. And like he just got ruined the longer it went on. And like I said, with the whole VA thing, it was just like I couldn't ever look at it the same. And I think that's one of the big reasons I started being like ugh towards Ruby at a certain point. You have a very strict regimen. Three healthy meals, definitely. All of these are. Oh, personal philosophy. I like this out tomorrow, yeah. The Badoo Show. And Mistral disappearing was Salem's agent that had quietly taken them out, either directly or through Grim or bandits. That's what I thought too. Like I said, I thought it was either thing of Raven was hunting Huntsman and Salem was mutually hunting Huntsman. So like, I thought it was like a double-edged thing where it was like Crow's contacts were, you know, with Raven's portals and everything, she was able to always be one step ahead of Crow, and then with magic, once that was revealed, you know, that was like really the nail in the coffin. And then, in Mistral, you know, the Salem had a very, very strong grasp on everything that was happening. So I just figured, yeah, no, there was like Infiltrator Grimm and our good old sociopath Tyrion was, you know, doing work. That's like how I interpreted it, that it's like originally it was a thing of like, yeah, you know, she had control over everything. So I figured that must have been that, but it's like, yeah. Yeah, I really agree. Like, you know, even if it's just the background plot of, like, him uncovering a mystery little by little between episodes, like, we get a, like, 1-minute dialogue with Crow each episode, I think that would have been neat. How do I get to the evil zone? Evil zone. Woohoo. But yeah, like, the fact all of them was dead was crazy. Exactly. We need 10 guides. Well, that's why we're sending you. The best guide. Aerialers. I forgot to take the Badoo out of my party. Oh well. A second Magikarp, bro. Okay. Oh yeah, but it's just a little splash, so I'm not really... Oh! Yes, tackle! False sense of security! Huh. I agree. I think they could have kept more mystique about it. Like, I think if they had kept too much mystique, maybe it would have been, excuse me, like a problem. But, like, I think they could have waited at least an episode or two. Because I think it was pretty obvious from the get-go anyways. And so, like, I think they could have simmered a little bit. I think, like, yeah, they should have kept it in for, like, they probably should have told us before the big reveal, right? But I do think they probably should have, like, kept a little bit where it's, like, for an episode or two, it's a question. There's no sleep clause in this game? Uh-oh. Yeah, that's also true. I think they just kind of shot themselves in the foot in a lot of regards. So I need to use a super effective move to knock someone out while they're unaware. Evil. Evil, evil. Okay, let's get this guy out. Wake up! Wake up, little bunny. Bunny. We must find someone weak to... Oh, well that's not weak at all. switch that out, yeah. Air legendary. Yeah, Lionheart, Oscar, Gun. I mean, I guess it was, her name's not Vixen, it's Bernal or something. Her name was like Bernal. I'm pretty sure it was like the, fake maiden's name. So he could finally die. That would be really funny if it had to be named Oz or Oz, like you had to, But at some point someone would have done something silly, like named their child, Ozamarine or something to be unique. I'm gonna get this rank up. Then I'm probably gonna get off stream for tonight. But yeah, I'm around until then. Playground equipment. Let me play. There must be someone on top of it. That's the rule. You know, Chekhov's gun, there's weird parkour things. Someone must be at the top of parkour thing, because by the final act, parkour thing must be used. If gun is shown in Act 1, gun must be shot by Act 3. I don't think I'm good at parkour. How do I get up there? Dawn is approaching. No, I don't want Dawn to be approaching. Person! Fight me! Fight me! Person! Oh, well, look, I don't know how I'm gonna do that. I don't think my magic art's gonna knock anyone out. Person. Related topic to mention? Just quickly, think up a related topic. The Phantom is coming for us. Destroy! I got the Challenger ticket. Gotta go beat that woman up now. Gonna go win. I don't even fully object to the backstory, I just don't like the way it was presented. The fact they wasted a question on it from a relic, I hate how they wasted the relic. The only cool thing they did with the relics was, make Penny a human, because they debated the genie, essentially. And I liked that. That was cool. That was neat. I respect the hustle. I respect the hustle. But, like I said, everything else was useless. Literally useless. Especially Cinder. They waste a question to be like, what's he hiding from us? Then she goes into a full backstory reveal. Like, they could have done that way cooler. Like, shown things that even Osmond didn't know. And then Osmond, like, shuts up because he's like, oh, I've ruined the world. I fucked everything up. Oh my god. Yeah, like the relics were like, the one let you answer any question, but it like only recharged a question per whatever, like amount of time. So it was like a thing, it says like one of those things where it's like, oh, and so they had 2 questions left. One was used, and they were clearly saving one to be like, oh, well, who asked the first question? Yeah, it's 3 questions per century. And then it was like, I thought it was like, yeah, I misremembered that. I thought it was like, oh, it's a max of 3 and it recharges at like 1 per decade or something. But it was, someone used the first one. They used the what are you hiding, and it went on a full backstory reveal instead of anything else. And I really wish we had gotten, excuse me, like I said, it would make more sense, especially with him shutting up and hiding everything. Oh, is that where the first one was used? Oh, okay. Intriguing. I thought it was like, oh, they were just holding on to it for a reveal later on that someone used one. But no, yeah, the first question was used to be like, what's he hiding from us? And the second one was used by Cinder to ask, what's the good guy's plan? And like I said, they did a cool thing, but I agree with the genie they summoned who can only create one thing, but can create anything. He's like, oh, I'm a visionary. And they're like, oh, if I were to make an exact copy of Penny, oh, but that means a human would be there. So they turned Penny human in a way that bypasses the rule so that she doesn't just die the second someone else makes something. And then they made a portal to Vacuo. But I'm like, I'm kind of with the genie who's like, that's so uninspired, bro. Or something. And they just locked, and then Cinder once again upped the ante of bad uses of the relics to lock Watts inside of a burning room. Exactly! That'd be like me giving your party, yes, you may have, you get a genie bottle, but he's like, oh, you only have 2, you only have 2 left because, one was used already, and you're like, wait, who used it though? I wish to know who used the previous wish! And it's like, oh, okay. I thought you were an adult. That's why I was so confused. Yeah. The other thing is, I'm not fully convinced on that. Surely, what's preventing you from atomizing her? Because it shows that the more damage she takes, the longer it takes for her to regenerate. So, like, what's to prevent you from literally nuking her? Because, like, the thing is, we saw her when Yang blew her torso out. It took her a few seconds to regenerate. But when the whole whale crashed, or when Hazel beat the ever-living shit out of her and turned her to a liquid, it took her minutes to regenerate. So, like, I'm not fully convinced that, like, she is unkilled. Because, like, I feel like you could majorly set her plans back by, like, atomizing her And it'll be like, yeah, she'll be back in like a couple of years. But like, surely Team Witch would fall apart in the time where it would take her to regenerate. Like, surely. Especially since like Hazel was not her bro anyways, because they did convince him to betray her in the end. What the fuck? They got my guy. Oh yeah, I should have kept my real team. This is going poorly for me. Yeah, it's an unfortunate type matchup. Get out of there, bro. Don't do the sleep powder, man. That's mean. Yeah, out of the way of the spikes. Yeah, okay. Okay, or not. Critical hit. I'm cooked. Oh. Yeah, no, I'm actually cooked. Badoo. I should have switched. I was overconfident in my Fletch. Wait, can I use items? You know, this ain't a Nuzlocke. This ain't a Nuzlocke. I hate using items in Pokemon, but like... yes, the power of cheating. The ultimate power in Pokemon. With enough money and items, you can achieve anything. Like, behold, Super Potion the second before I get attacked. Now I'm at full health. Now that attack that was lethal wasn't. Oh shit, okay, this is going closer than I thought. Oh. Yet again. Super Potion. The power of money. The NPCs use items too. That is true. I don't like doing it though. Even in non-Nuzlocks, I usually take my beatings with a happy face. But oh, why can I not use Satch item no more? Item, no. Badoo, use Absorb quickly. Oh yeah, no, he's gone. Magikarp. Oh, give me my bag. Okay. Wait up. Oh, okay. There's like a limit. How did Magikarp dodge that? Okay, he didn't dodge that for long. Makes sense. Aerialist. Aerialist, we can do this. What was it? Imagine being a young trainer suddenly across Fat Gardevoir, picking for a fresh kill exactly. Yeah, I mean, that is fair with the whole Osmond. Like, I think that's what they're going to use the sword for, because I think it probably is something like... The sword is destruction, because the blessings upon humanity was knowledge, creation, destruction, and, some other thing. I forget. Sure, because the sword was used in the Great War to end the war. But, like... I imagine it was probably used on her. But also I have a hard time believing that, because why would he seal it away for Alternity if he could use it? You know, like, more than once. Over a fresh kill. I need to, grind off camera here a little bit. I need my guys to be like level 20, it seems. X is cooler than W, that's true. Dude, I would love living in Pokemon, though. I would die, though. I would try to catch something crazy, and I would die horrifically. It is the inevitability of my life choices. Croissant curry. No, thank you. Curry and croissant stand. Nice together. They're less than the sum of their parts. For them to get all this. Yeah. You know, my evil team might be the worst, but it's mine. I need to buy clothes off camera too. I'm gonna do a fashion show when I open up the next stream. I'll be like, look guys at my Pokemon. It'll be like a Minecraft Let's Play, you know? I'll come in with full netherite armor and be like, yeah, I did some grinding off camera, guys. You know, the sad thing is, legit that happened once when we were doing a Minecraft series. Not because we cheated, but because Jester yearns for the mines. Crown is choice. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, no, Jester yearns for the mine, and she mined for 8 hours straight one night. And so by the time we came back to film the next episode, she was like, I didn't build anything, just so you know. But, like, our chests are all full. I sorted them, by the way. True, true. Still kind of weird. Exactly. You know, this guy is literally like the ancient king. He's pretty much the Osmond of this world. And he's running a hotel. He needs to have more, you know... I want money, though, ancient king of destruction and wisdom. I appreciate the wisdom and the peace and serenity and, you know, your idolations, but, like... At the same point, money! I want to be a successful businessman. Of course, ancient king of wisdom and destruction. Secret Illuminati leader who is leading a Illuminati that's only 4 kids. That is literally what he's doing, I'm pretty sure. That's what I've gotten from this game so far. And it doesn't help that we're a team of 4 either. Oh god. Okay, this is the last thing we're doing for this stream. What would the acronym be for Team MZ for Ruby? What would it be? We have me, Rise, with an R. T for Tani. N for Nazim. And L for Lida. He really is Osmond. Yeah, he is, he's 3,000 years old. He's the guy who fired the, ultimate weapon and killed all those people. Yeah, I guess, but would I be the leader or would Tawny be the leader? It's a valid question. Cause like I'm the strongest. But she's the one who put the team together. It would be rough if it had to be T. Congratulations, Lita. You might have been a dancer, but now you're the team leader of the Illuminati. Just so we can keep the color pun. That is a good one, though. That's better than what I was thinking, honestly. Okay, but with that, I appreciate talking with you, Dr. Frederick. We need to do it more frequently. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and I do hope to see you in the next stream. I'm signing out for tonight. I have to work on some Foundry stuff and some Skyrim stuff. I'm trying to start my Skyrim series again. The reason I said was the color pun. Yeah, I like that theory too, where it's like, oh, so that's the only one I could think of. Any of the others would be bad. Anyways, talk to you next time. Remember to like and subscribe. Bye-bye!